Well, welcome to Stencils and Such. Today we have a very different way to use these stencils. There are 5 of them in this package, and so I'm going to be showing you. It's the same technique, but with some differences. In fact, here is one of the projects. Let's get in close so you can see that. And you'll see that there's some transparency going on even closer with that close-up. There you go. So you can see there's light pink, light green, dark green. Just really pretty all the way through. In fact, that's what's true about all of these. They have that same transparent quality, and we're going to show you how to do that. Won't you please come play with us? Now, each of these stencils is a little over 4 inches by 9.5 inches long. And you can see by this first one that there's multiple images all through here. In fact, that's true of every single one. Now, we've gone ahead and marked them. There's an embossed area that says number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it was easier for us to mark them with a permanent marker. That way you have them and you're not going to get them mixed up. Now, this is a collection from Pink Fresh, and it says on the back that these stencils are designed for a transparent layering effect on the flower layers, which is number 3 and number 4. You want to use the same color of ink for stencils 3 and 4 to get the best results. Because what happens is that when you put on one layer, then the next layer that you put on top of it is going to be darker. That's how you're going to get the transparent. It suggests to use light to medium colors to get the best effect. The dark colors are not going to give you that transparent quality. So that was a good little piece to have, and that's what the designers did. Now, what's neat about this is that although they all used ink pads and the daubers, the finger daubers, like this, sponge daubers, the looks that they got were different because they chose to use them differently, and I think that's where the creativity comes in. So what I want to do is I want to show you the very first card again. That was the one right here, and because I think that this is a good first one, and Lene did this just to show you what she used. She used the wildflowers and wildlife, and the sheet that she did her stenciling on is this first one. You can see it has these green lines, so she didn't really take advantage of the flowers because she was stenciling her own. So we're going to do that. However, I'm going to do this on white. I just want to let you see what the steps are and so forth. Just a point, this is a slim line card like this, turned on its side. And she did use the pink gingham on the inside. She cut the top down by 1 inch and then covered it with that green wildflower and wildlife. And then You Are a Dear Friend is one of the cutouts from that same set. So that worked out nicely. She did put a green border dazzles, a lime green border along the edge. And for those of you who have a subscription, you're going to get this for free because it just works so perfectly. Okay, so that's the beginning of this. Now I want to take my craft mat and place it here. And I'm going to attach my white cardstock on top, and I'm going to use my low-tack tape to make sure that doesn't travel on me. And I think I'm going to do it sideways, okay, just for you to get all of this. Now I do have a pan of water right next to me, and I just want to follow this the way that, whoops, got fuzzy hair. It'll clear up. So I'm taking the number 1 stencil. You may not be able to see that, but I did. And I'm going to place it here. And I'm going to put the edge of the stencil next to the edge of my cardstock. That way I'll know where it is. And I can align everything that way. So that's a good way to begin. Now, with what Lene did, is because she worked and did all of them on one piece of cardstock, So she would have started with something else to let me share with you. Let me scoot this over. As I said, all of these have the stencils that are going to be used on the same piece. So what happens? This is one piece, this is another, this is another, another one. So that's how they're laid out. So when you line up your stencil with your paper, you know that this, when it comes in and is going to do some flowers over those leaves, it's going to be aligned perfectly. So you just need to do that with every single one. Same thing with this, same thing with these little bits, which are just tiny leaves. So that's just important to know. So have your, however you're going to align things, have it consistent throughout your project, okay? And I think that what Lene did is that she did each of the pieces separately. I'm just going to do a couple of them at the same time because for her, these three were just a little bit separated, okay? A little bit, little different than what they are right here. Does that all make sense? Are you shaking your head yes? I hope it does. Okay, so we're going to go with number 1. And that is, just a second, let me grab this. And okay, so we are going to be doing the khaki first. Oh, let me show you what we're using, okay? So we have holly green, we have khaki, and we have hot pink. Now, this is a sequence in which we're going to be using these also. Actually, that's not true. We're going to do holly first. We're going to do khaki first. Okay, so let me just scoot these over. So you can see that these are leaves, okay? So I'm going to put on my finger dauber and I'm going to bring in the khaki. And I just want to do it lightly because again, this is transparent. So as the other layers come, I don't want to make this so dark. And I'm going to use just rather than a dabbing motion like this, I'm going to do a swirling motion. So, and there is sometimes when you're stenciling, the tendency to want to get everything dark and make everything finished. But in this case, this is what we want, is we just want this light look. And you can see how I'm just rubbing it around. Trying to be careful not to get it too dark, okay? But I do want the stencil to be filled, okay? So we have that. All right, now I'm going to put my hat back on my ink pad and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it into my water pan. It's just a plastic thing. And let that clean off. Now, I've got my number 2, and again, I want to make it positioned exactly the way the last one was because I'm doing a second layer, so it's going to look different. Now, this layer is also, whoops, this is, yeah, number 2. I'm going to do khaki again, and this is exactly what was recommended on the package. And let me get in closer to see this because this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, thank you. So you can see, I think, how this is overlapping and it's going to make a different design. So I'm going to bring this in, same process, the same wiggling circular motion. And I'll do it on all 3. Okay. And here we go. So easy and so quick to do. Okay. All right. All right, all set. Okay, that is my khaki. That's number 2. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, do you see how you're seeing the layering? Very, very pretty. Now, we're not done yet, of course, because we've got 5 of these, so we are certainly going to use them. Now, number 3, we're going to go with the hot pink. So number 3, I'm going to position it like so. So you can see that that positioning is going to be important. You want to make sure that it is the same for all of them. Now I'm bringing in the hot pink and my dauber. And again, I want to do it lightly, even though it's called hot pink. And I'm going to do the same process. So that's, you know, kind of nice to know that you're not switching every time. You are. Now this one doesn't have any because this is just leaves. So I'm going over here and I will add this. Same thing, just want to make sure that you are covering the stencil. And that was number 3. Okay, now number 4. And I do check every time to make sure that that they haven't gotten out of sequence in my pile. Okay, and same thing. Now again, you can see that these are in a different position. So, and I want to make this darker. I am doing that circular motion. See, it just takes a moment. And I do want to get the lid back on my hot pink. And lift off my stencil. Okay, there you go. Now that's number 4. Now number 5 is a little guy. And it is doing some little leaves that are between the other bigger leaves. And this is a darker color is what Lene decided to use. So there's just, this one doesn't have any. This just has a couple little spots. This too has just a couple. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they were full. And there's the top. And here we go. All right, now the thing that you might be missing that Lene did on hers is that she did take a fine black pen and drew the line just to get that line, and here, just bringing them together, okay? So that is the final step. So you see the transparent look that you're going to get, and it's just so easy to do. And you can see that on the stencil, these are in varying heights. So when you are doing it on a project and you're doing directly onto the paper, you'll probably want to do just one area at a time. For my demonstration for you, it was just easier to do 3. Okay, so let's set this aside and let me show you how clever the designers have been in working things for you. So like I said, Lene has done this. She's pink and green all over in her papers as well as her ink pads, and using all of those. So she's used 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are more, as obviously. And I do like the mix of how the flowers, these are buds and flowers, just one flower, a couple of buds down there, and this is just leaves. So it's a nice blend. Okay, let's go to our next one. And Lene also did this one, so very different look. And you might remember on the stencil that curved part. Well, this is what she has done, and so pretty. Now, what she used was the khaki, because that's just so good for leaves, Prussian blue and violet. Isn't that interesting? So that is what's been done right around there. Now, the paper that she used, in fact, she used this sheet, and it comes from Secret Garden. This is Secret Garden. And you can see it just has lots of beautiful art in it. So she used the Secret Garden 12 by 12 pattern along with the Secret Garden solid. Look at those pretty colors. And in this case, she covered her 5 by 6.5 inch card with the lavender solid. and then took this same sheet that she stenciled on, but she simply cut a piece and inked the edge with the prism and then attached it. Then she cut a square, and it's 3 5/8, I believe, square, turned it on point, and then put this onto her craft mat to start doing her stenciling. And again, she's just using that top part of the stencil for all of those. And no need in this case to do any of the line work because they're all overlapping. So that worked nicely. What she also did is she added, because she's doing blue and purple, she added, in this case, teal, jewel dazzles, and you can just see them in, I think you can see them, we'll get in closer, really close, there you go, you can see that shine. Okay, so she's just added them in there. And then there is a purple collection of dazzles, and this has a ton of dazzles. So it has thin line, which is what was used up here. It has greetings. It has borders that are thicker, so she's used all of those. So she has mirrored the colors of her ink pads in the color of her dazzles and put them all on the blue Secret Garden paper. How pretty is that? Yes, it's nice to have that curve, that crescent, just works really, really nicely. Same process, same exact process. You're going to use the same, the colors on for, let's see. So for this, you're going to use the khaki on 1 and 2, just like we did before. We're going to use the violet on 3 and 4. And then we use the Prussian blue, which is that dark blue, on number 5, which are those little pieces, those little tiny leaves. So mostly it's khaki and violet, okay, just with a little touch of blue. So worked out perfectly. Okay, now we have another look. Now Debbie did something different with hers. Now she did the crescent, but she kind of created her own crescent. And if we get in even closer, I just want to show you that they are shiny. Can you see that? Well, after she did each pair of colors, she used clear embossing powder to give them that shine. So that's fun. Now, the way that she did this is she took a whole sheet. Let's see, let me get my stencils dried off and I'll come right back. Okay, let me show you on the stencil. This is the second stencil. You can see that arch, that crescent. Well, what Debbie did is she used a full piece of cardstock and probably turned it this way. So when she was doing each of them, she did the entire sheet. Okay, so my 8.5 by 11 sheet is turned vertically, and she did all of them so that actually it was just the bottom half. So she just did the bottom half because the crescent, she's going to do the inking and so forth, and then she's going to trim them out and foam tape them together to make her own crescent. Okay, the other thing that she did, remember that shiny part? So what the lady did, let me show you the colors. So she's got leafy green and leafy green shamrock, and she has warm honey and mustard. So yellow and green, obviously, that's what she's used here. So when she started doing it, she did leafy green over the bottom half, and then she did shamrock with the second stencil. Now remember what Lene did is she used the same color a second time. Debbie decided to use different colors each time. See, that's why we have multiple designers. So leafy green on the bottom half, and then going to the second one with shamrock on this. Then she stopped and left the number 2 in place, took the Versamark, or it can be the Wow embossing ink pad, went over that, removed the stencil, poured clear embossing powder over it, and it will stick. It will stick to both layers, and then tapped off the extra, and then used the heat tool and to melt that. So she did that on the second layer. Then she went back and on number 3, she used warm honey. Again, that's the first of our yellow. And so that's going into the blossoms, as you probably remember. And then she did number 4 with a different color, this time mustard, again, 2 colors. And then when that was done, she repeated that process. So she used the Versamark, went over it, and then removed this, poured the clear embossing powder, tapped it off, and used the heat gun to melt it. So then she got the layers that she wanted, the layers of color and the layers of shine. Okay, now the last layer was done with shamrock, and that, whoops, no, she didn't do number 5 at all. Okay, so she didn't use, to make the smaller pieces, you can see there's no small little leaves in there. So it's just the 2 yellows, the 2 greens, then she trimmed them out and foam taped them together, following the curve that was on the first stencil. Now, this is using, which papers, Paulette, which ones? Well, we are using, I bet you couldn't tell, well, you probably could tell if you read it. This is from Gnomes and More Gnomes, 12 by 12 pattern cardstock. As a matter of fact, the one that she has on the card is this piece. You can see kind of leaf patterns that, again, it's a tone on tone, just like the stencil pieces are. So she placed that and then put a different piece on top. But on her 5 by 6.5 inch card, she first put the Gnomes and More Gnomes solid cardstock. So you can see that there's the light yellow and then the kind of gold yellow, and that the green is placed on top of that. So you're going to need foam tape. You're going to need scissors, and the scissors that we highly recommend are this kind. They're termed a professional scissors, but they have a short blade, and that short blade will just gives you so much more accuracy and ease of cutting. So that is something to note. And she did highlight these with, these are the big words in green, just like that. And notice they have some hearts and some other things. So she's put her hearts inside the crescent, another couple of little pieces there. And then Gnome Sweet Gnome, that's one of the borders in the paper pack. So she put those on top also. So this is our third card. So you can see a difference between what Debbie did and what Lene did, which is just great as far as I'm concerned now. Debbie has one more thing, and it just slid across the table from me. Now, look at this. How pretty. Yes, thank you. We'll get in close. Now, remember, this whole thing is about transparency and having shading. Well, Debbie did this on dotted vellum. Dotted vellum, how fun is that? So there's dotted vellum, a little wet from my tray, but you can use your stencils and ink on this. Now, it will take a little bit longer for the ink to dry on vellum. So if you want to, and you have that heat tool, you can use that to speed up the drying process. In this case, she has used, let me pull these out. So she has Lily Pad, and that's going to be used with the number 1. Again, the bottom half of the stencil also with this. And then Holly Green is going to be a number 2, which is a darker. So she's doing her light and dark in her ink pads. Then she's going to go to Air Force Blue, which is a nice medium blue. And number 4 is going to be Prussian Blue, which we used earlier, which is a darker blue. Then for the tiny leaves, surprisingly, she used charcoal, and you can just see it gives a depth to it. Now, in these, I'm going to ask her, Jeanette, if you'll get even closer. Thank you. So she did take a black marker and drew the lines for the stems, so you can see that. but that dotted vellum just adds another element of texture and transparency to this. Now, do you see that sparkle that we're getting? Okay. That was done using a mirror cardstock, and this is Marina Mist. It is an iridescent, boy, you can really see, but it's really a blue. And she die cut using our oval dies, and notice she used 2 scallops, and in doing that she created a wreath. And what a nice shape that oval is. So she took 2 of them and placed them so that she created her wreath. Foam taped that. Now this is on just white, and we do have, I especially have, a preference for using patterned papers for our stencils, but in this case what she didn't use that 5th stencil in this work. She did use it just to put color onto her white card. And this is a 5 by 6.5 inch card. So this was using she went back to the Air Force Blue, here it is, and did that just randomly on her card, just like so. And then she used the blending brush to put a little bit on the edges so it had a nice shadow effect, and then built this. Now that word love, that comes from a different die, and it is our script greetings. So you get happy, hello, love, and thanks, just really nicely done. So she did it out of white cardstock, and then did a second layer, and then colored it with the ink pad. So this is the Air Force Blue, the Air Force Blue, the Air Force Blue on the edge, all matching. And then of course it's been used in the flowers. So 4 very different looks, but the same process, and that's really fun to share with you. So, and I do want to tell you that the reason why we use Hunky Dory, well, several reasons. One is that they are a good quality ink. They last a long time, which is really kind of amazing. And the price is just so excellent. This is under $3, and you really can't find that. And the ink pad is raised, which I really like, that it's not down with the edge of the container. So those are reasons too. So you have 1 set of stencils, but there are 5 of them in here. And you know, the thing with stencils is that they really don't look all that exciting when you see them like this, but they do look really exciting when you see them all finished. And somewhere I have the package, there it is. And this is called, I should have told you, Enchanting Flora, and I think it does live up to its name. So many things that you can do, and just really to have a good time with it. And I've lost my 4th card, but it's in here. Okay, so those are just a few of the things that you can do. You know, and I bet you'll find some other things too. Okay, that is our Stencils and Such webisode today. I want to thank Debbie and Lene. Didn't they do a wonderful job? Get out those ink pads, ladies. This stencil set retails for $19 with the 5 of them. If you happen to be a subscriber to Stencils and Such, our commitment to you is that you will get at least 2 stencils every month. Well, this month you've got 5. You'll get a free goodie. The free goodie this month is the lime green border that Lene used on that first card, and you will get all of that for $15. So that way you're getting $19, $20, $21 worth for $15, so that's nice. If you decide you would like to subscribe, if you want to do that now, you will get this one, and then each month you will get the others. And again, we guarantee you 2, but sometimes we'll just go overboard and get you something like this with 5. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, we would love it if you would like us and subscribe, but do head on over to paperwishes.com. That's where you will find this. You will find all of our products, and you can sign up for the subscription if you would like to do that. It is my pleasure to bring these to you and to share the techniques that our designers have done. And that's just really fun. It's fun to see all the things. Now, with the stencils and such we've been doing up until this point, each one has had different kinds of product. This time it was relatively the same, but there were some fun twists in there. So that's just what we love to bring to you. Okay, I want to thank you. I want to thank Lene and Debbie for, as always, doing such a marvelous job and giving us so many looks. It's a pleasure to be able to share that with you. Most of all, I want to thank you for being the very best part of paperwishes.com. Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.